Did you figure out that the magic number was 6 in tutorial 1? We're now going to move on to tutorial 2. In tutorial 2, you're going to define a variable called months, and you're going to use this variable to create this slider. What's really neat about the slider is when you press the space bar, you can adjust the slider and it will change the color of the arch. Now it's not just changing the colors to what color it wants to be, it's actually changing the arch to the color it would be when that many months has passed. So for example, if 129 months have passed since a copper arch was installed, this would be the color of the arch. The first thing we're going to do is create a months variable. To do that, you'll click on Data in your menu and make a variable. We're going to title this Months and press OK. You'll see that once you created the variable, you have this icon on your stage. Click this icon a couple times to make this a slider. When you adjust the slider, you'll notice that the arch doesn't change colors. That's because we haven't programmed it yet. We want to program the animation so that when the slider says 3 months, the arch shows the color it would be after 3 months. To do this, we're going to use the if-else conditional block found under the Control tab of your menu. For today's purposes, we're going to use the if-then-else block. We'll want the block to read, if the slider reads 3 months, then the arch will show the copper costume. The names of the costumes tell us what time period the arch would be that specific costume color. For example, if we look at the arch under the stainless steel arch, it tells us that between 0 and 4 months, the arch would be this copper color. We will use the information found in the costume names while programming our if-else conditionals. Let's head back to our scripts. For our first costume, the copper costume, we need to tell the program that if the slider is less than 4 months, then we should see the copper costume. To do this, we need to start with what we call an operator. We will use the less than operator to start this statement. We want it to read if months are less than 4. We will get the months variable from our data tab, and then we'll type in the number 4 into the operator. We will put the operator in the if-else conditional, and then choose the costume we want the arch to switch to when this statement is true. Right now our block reads, if it is true that the slider is at a value less than 4, then our costume will be set to copper. If our slider is not less than 4, we need to finish the conditional to tell the program what color we want the arch to be. When we run the animation at this point, we do not get an accurate model of the different colors the arch would be if it were made of copper and reacted with the atmosphere over time. We need to add additional commands for the arch to show all of the colors it would change to between 0 and over 120 months. To do this, we want to add an if-else to our if-then-else block. We'll first duplicate the if-then-else block. We will then change the costume to the costume that comes after the copper costume. This new costume is the color the arch will be between 4 and 12 months after it was constructed, if the arch was made of copper. Our operator still reads if the month slider is less than 4. We need to change this to if the month slider is less than 12. We will then embed this block under the original if-else block. Our block now reads, if the month slider is less than 4, then it will turn to the copper costume. Otherwise, if the month slider is between 4 and 12, it will change to the red costume. To test this, move your slider to a number between 4 and 12. Click on the block. If you've programmed this correctly, your arch should turn a red color. We can continue to add as many else-if statements to this block. We will do this for almost all of the costumes we have for the arch. Remember, don't forget to right-click on the block and select Duplicate to make this go faster. As you can see, I now have a block to represent every costume except for our 120 plus months costume. Let's quickly test this by changing the number on our slider and clicking our large block. Now that we know that this works, we can add our last costume in. We will add it under the last else statement. The way this block of code will work is it will go statement by statement. If it runs across a statement that is true, it will stop and execute the true command, like changing the costume. If the statement is false, it will continue until it finds a true statement. If all of the statements above are false, then it will execute our final block, changing the arch to the 120 plus months costume. We need to add an event to the sequence of commands. Let's choose when the space key is pressed, and that will start the sequence of events. Now let's test our final code. I'll start off by clicking on the green flag, getting the arch back to its original color. We will then click on the space bar to activate the commands, and then we will use the slider. Wait, do you notice our slider is not working? Let's try this one more time. Press the green flag and then the space key. It's only changing to one color. That's because we have the sequence of commands set only to run one time. To fix that, we're going to have to go over to our control settings and find our forever loop. We will put all of our block in this forever loop, and that should fix the problem. Now let's try it again. Press the green flag and the space key. When you adjust the slider now, it should now adjust to show you the different colors of the arch. And now we have another problem. Our slider is set to a maximum of 100. We will need to fix that since our last costume occurs when the months are greater than 120. To fix the slider, you're going to right-click on the slider, go to Set Slider Minimum and Maximum, and then you'll need to set your maximum to greater than 120. I'm just going to pick 240. Now when you adjust the months on the slider, it should show you the color of the arch it would be that many months after the installation. The last thing we want to do is we want to set the slider to 0 when the green flag is pressed. To do this, go to Data, click the Set block. Have it read Set Months to 0 and attach this to our starter code. At this point, you should have an animation that changes the color of the arch when you change the months on the slider. This will replicate what the arch would have looked like if it was made of copper.